What's up? What's up? Another episode of Where Are My Tax Dollars? This time's a little different inside my house, but I did it for a reason because I've had a lot of people calling me out, messaging me, really just talking a bunch of crap, and they just don't understand what's really going on. So I figured I'd explain it to you, have it all laid out right here. So whenever I see a police officer doing something wrong, I file a complaint on them. It's kind of like the same way as if they see us doing something wrong, they give us a ticket, right? Okay. So I'll try to go in order here because there's just a whole bunch of this crap. I've probably filed 8 complaints, and I'm gonna show this to y'all so y'all don't think that people keep saying that, oh, you're not happy with the results. That's why you're doing what you're doing. So here's the first one. I'm gonna read it to you. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. If you want to see it's from the City of Pearland and you want to look at it, whatever, pause it and look at it. Thank you for notifying us of your complaint. Pearland Police Department strives to provide the highest level of police services to those we have sworn in, yada, yada, yada. The administrator investigated into your complaint dated January 17, 2024, yada, yada, yada. This was one that I filed a while back, and I have video evidence of this. So a constable was parked in a handicap, and I called Pearland PD. I'd just done a video right around the corner from the constable's office of someone illegally dumping, and the couch had been sitting out there for like 3 or 4 or 5 years, something like that. And I leave and I see the cop parked in the handicap. The only time they have a right to park in handicaps or fire zones, and they're gonna lie to y'all and tell y'all something different, but you can look up the penal code. I have it printed out here somewhere. It's going to an emergency, not coming from. They can't just park wherever they want. There's actually transportation codes. Don't let them talk crap. Anyway, it says here that in your complaint, you alleged Officer Newsom failed to do his job and did not issue a parking citation. So handicap parking, that's a huge thing. And Pearland Police Department takes it as a joke. So here's what it says. A review of Detective Weaver's administrative investigation found that you had already discussed this incident at length with Assistant Chief Randall over a year ago. It was explained to you at the time that the police officers had discretion when deciding whether to issue a citation, and that most transportation code violations result in a warning, which is 100% lie. Pearland has, what is it called? The Citizens on Patrol. They don't write you warnings. They write you tickets when you're parked in a handicap. So there's a lie. Additionally, all Pearland police officers were reminded police officers are not exempt from the disability parking regulations. So you can see he was not exempt. They just said he is not exempt, but they didn't want to write him a ticket. So I pushed the issue and I made a sergeant write him a ticket because it's the way it would have happened. If somebody would have called on me, they'd have wrote me a ticket. Anyway, that's one. All right, let's go to the next one. What is this one? Same thing at the top. The administrative investigation into your complaint. Oh, here it is. In your complaint, you alleged Officer Palomo, I guess that's his name, allowed police cadets to park in a fire lane. I'm going to explain that to you. Right around the corner from here, from the neighborhood I live in, is the, what do you call it, natatorium. Man, just between where I live and my office, which is, I don't know, 5-minute drive, you're always seeing people parked in fire zones and getting out. I know it's not that big of a deal. Honestly, I don't even really care. But whenever you see law enforcement do it or public officials do it, it just gives the okay for everyone else to do it because we're supposed to be holding these people to a higher standard. So I actually had the policy changed at Pearland Independent School District where if they're caught parked in a fire zone, the first time I think it's a warning, the second time's termination or something like that. Because every time we go to pick our kid up from school, we would pull up on the right. And let me explain that. If you stay in your vehicle, you can stay parked in a fire zone. The vehicle has to be attended. So we'd pull up on the right closest to the school, but no one could get by because on the left was always in the fire zone was the, the maintenance guys. They were always at the front, and it's just because they're lazy. They don't want to walk that far to do their job. When everyone else in the world has to walk, they don't want to. And they're so dumb, they said the little tag that says exempt, their license plate, that means that they don't have to follow the law. That's what they thought. But anyway, let's get back to this. I was coming home one day. I was coming from somewhere. Bunch of police officers parked all up and down the fire zone, parked in front of the fire hydrants. I have all this on video also. And then I seen a bunch of regular vehicles parked there, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on. So I pull in and I ask, and it was Officer Palomo. He is the field training officer, and I'm going to read this to you now, okay? He's a field training officer for Pearland PD. Think about that. A review of Detective Weaver's administrative investigation found, oh, my phone's ringing. There you go. Found that you had already discussed this incident with Assistant Chief Randall over a year ago. It was determined that while Officer Palomo had legal authority to direct traffic, he wasn't directing traffic, he was in a parking lot. He apologized and said he had not realized that the area was a fire lane. Agreed it sent the message and would be more mindful in the future. I assure you the Pearland Police Department got a bunch of excuses after that. So let's address this. So the field training officer does not know what a fire lane looks like. So he's training the police officers, but he has no idea what a fire lane looks like. Seems kind of stupid, don't it? He let the cadets park in the fire lane in their personal vehicle. I call the police to go out there. They refuse. Every time I call, they refuse or they lie. We'll get to that later. And in this, I have all my records of where I filed the complaints and everything. That's why there's like stacks of this stuff. All right, let's see what this one is. This one is probably the same thing. Oh, here we go. This is about a vehicle accident. While we talk about this vehicle accident, I have some a paper from Kim Paxton's office also just to show you that the Pearland Police Department, they keep their stats down because they lie to y'all. And I have the proof. Everyone thinks I'm crazy and that I'm picking on the police department. All I'm doing is holding them accountable, and they don't like it. Right here it says the administrative investigation, your complaint, was received. In your complaint, you allege officers failed to properly investigate a crash scene involving a possible drunk driver and gave him they misspelled that. Anyway, gave him better treatment because he was a former police officer. I have it on video where the man admits they didn't do anything to him. I called the Pearland PD 3 different times because there was no police officers out there. And I have all this on video. A detective pulls up, walks over, wasn't over there. I'm going to say 10 seconds, leaves with his lights on. A fire chief pulls up, walks over there, 10 seconds, leaves. And I'm going, what's going on? So I call the Pearland PD. They refuse to go out there. They said that the accident scene was cleared. The vehicle was sitting on top of the sidewalk, had took out a stop sign, had damaged the curb, and was leaking fluids while still running, sitting on the curb. Pearland PD said the scene was clear, right? I called 3 times. They refused service to me 3 times and told me they would not come out there. So I went to the park where we live, and I recorded until they towed that car off. Well, after the 3 times they wouldn't allow a police officer to come back out to the scene, I asked for a sergeant to come to my house. All this is recorded. It was an hour and a half, I believe. I don't know. I'd have to find my paperwork. But as soon as that vehicle leaves, as soon as it gets towed off, magically a sergeant shows up at my house, and I have it all on video, and just starts lying to me. He says he don't know what I'm talking about. What's the incident about? I don't know what you mean. Typical cop-splaining. I don't know what you mean. So let's think about this before y'all you're a cop hater. They told this sergeant he needed to come to my house to talk to me about the accident that I reported. But when he shows up, he tells me, well, I don't know what are you talking? I don't even know why I'm here. Complete ignorance. So let's get into that incident. You can do an open records request, and it's at pearland.govqa.us. You put in your information, you can create an account. Anytime you do an open records request, it'll show up. I don't think I have any of them. I got some in here somewhere. But anyway, all of mine say they're closed, which was a bold-faced lie, and now I have proof. And I'm going to show you how I have proof. They said that they had closed one of them out because I asked for all the video evidence, all the phone calls, all of everything from that vehicle accident. They didn't give me all that. Then they sent letters to Kim Paxton's office trying to say that I don't need it. Well, this is 3/14/24 right here. Oh, yeah, let me cover up most of this stuff. Anyway, right here, there's the date from Pearland PD. They sent me one video. That's all they sent me. Typical Pearland, trying to hide everything, because if all the videos come out, they're going to show that the first officer on the scene was actually at his house off duty, hitting golf balls in his front yard. So he already knew who that guy was because he was the first one there. Then all the other officers showed up. I believe there were 6 or 7 total. When the sergeant shows up, which is the only video I have is of the sergeant, you can hear him say to you something to the effect of, "Do you smell alcohol on him?" They never got this man out of his car. They just talked to him. And this video is the one that'll blow your mind, because if you just watch it, you can see that something's being covered up. Something is like way off. They refused to give me any more information. This one, they had told me in my open records request that they had sent it to me. I had to go up there, and I have it all on video every time I talk to any kind of a public official from the city, because you know how they lie. I'm going to cut in real quick and tell you all this. The government up in Washington, D.C. is the same government in Pearland. Just because you know them doesn't mean that they're not lying to you. Y'all need to get over yourself. It's the same government. They're following the same policies and laws. They're all lying to you. Quit trusting these fools. Anyway, I had to go back up there and file another complaint to get this video. Well, when the open records woman went to go find the video, she couldn't find it. How convenient. Finally, she calls me back up there. I think they sent me another email, and I went back up there and got it. I watched the video. Of course, it's not even, I asked for all of them, and that's the one they hid. But let's see if the City of Pearland is doing their job. Now, I don't know if y'all can read that. You might have to pause it. It's probably going to be backwards, whatever. But I'm going to read it to you in short. The Officer to the Attorney General's Office, the OAG, has received a complaint from me about the City of Pearland, has failed to respond appropriately to a request. Imagine that. So let's go down here. It tells the Public Information Act, Chapter 552, yada, 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 552.301. Now listen to this. Although the AG has civil enforcement authority under the Act, our office prefers to work with government bodies and requesters to resolve complaints informally. The easiest way to resolve this open records complaint is to release the requested information, provided the information is not confidential by law. None of it is. It's body cam. There's nothing there. They blurred out like driver's license, but it doesn't matter. It's all open. That's what I don't understand. There's a thing called the plain view doctrine. Anything we can see in plain view, we can record, we can look at. I can look up your license plate. I can look any information up I want. So whenever they refuse to give stuff out, it means they're hiding something. Anyway, please provide a written response to this letter within 10 days. This was an email that I received April 8th. City has a certain amount of time to respond back before the OAG is going to basically force them to do it, which, if you know anything about government, this will probably go on for another year or two, because they're just, if the government's talking to you, they're lying to you. Just trust that. All right, now that we got that one out of the way, we're going to respond to the ones that I just read you about. They said that I'd already talked to Officer Randall about those other incidences, right? These are more complaints that I'm filing. I have it in here that says, I reported a crash investigation that was handled wrong, in my opinion. That's the very first sentence. I have the response from Johnny Spires, the chief of police, the one I read y'all. But here's the interesting one right here. This is from Randall. Hold on, we'll see. I'm gonna try to find it where it says, oh, right here. There's a few emails, but this is the one I printed. You can see, it don't tell on here, but at the top it says police activity. It's got a date on it. You can pause it and read it if you want. Let me see if the other page has where it says Randall on it. That way y'all don't think I typed this up or something, because yep, here it is. Here's the front page. Front page is right here. Chad Randall. Look at that. So now there ain't nobody there going to tell me that, oh, you made that up and printed it yourself and I'm going to read this to you. Now, remember, I filed a complaint. And I filed the complaint because of this email. Now, I'm going to read it to you. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says, if you'd like to meet in person, I will do my best to meet with you. But in my absence, can another PD supervisor meet with you, collect your statement, and provide videos? Now, you hear that, right? I said, okay. So it says, let me know if you have the interest in doing this. Complaint to be in writing and signed by the complainant. That's what it says right here. If I would like to file a complaint, it has to be in writing. Let me see here. There's another place in here. There's another place in here where he tells me, and I don't know where it's at. But there's another place in here where he tells me that if I want it to be taken seriously, it might be on this side. Let me read it real quick. I should have been more prepared, huh? I should have highlighted it, but anyway. Here you go. If you would like to make a complaint, I encourage you to write out your complaint, any form you'd like, print it, sign it, and provide us a copy. Make yourself a copy of the videos you referred to and a copy for the investigation. So here, I'll show you that too. I've already showed you once, but anyway, it says to do it right there, whatever. So I did exactly what Randall told me to do. Exactly what he told me to do, which was go file a complaint. So I filed a complaint, and then the internal investigators, which they call the professional standards, tells me, nah, can't do anything because you've already talked to someone. After it, he's telling me to do this, right? So there's two different kind of complaints. Don't let them lie to you, because remember, that's all the government does. You can go in and do a verbal all you want, but per Randall, he said that it's not taken seriously unless you do it in writing. I put it in writing, and now they're ignoring me. So these are more complaints about them not doing their job and investigating it the correct way. There's one here. I'm gonna put it on the floor. There's another one here. And there are another one here. And this one, this is the best one. And I'm gonna see if I don't know if it's printed up in here. It's probably not, but I'm gonna explain this one to y'all because I know y'all think I'm crazy as hell for doing this. Everyone that goes to Jameson Middle School, all the parents, y'all got an email last week sometime of a kid that made a threat at the school and they arrested him. But the email they didn't send you was the one where the kid threatened to blow up the school, which could have been a joke, zero tolerance, whatever. Threatened to blow up the school, threatened to kill a teacher, and he threatened to kill my child. We pressed charges on the kid, not for the kid to be thrown in jail. I don't advocate that at all. I don't want him locked up. I want him to get help because this kid, in my opinion, has been in trouble for a long time. The things that he said that his parents say to him and the way he acts is just, it's sad to tell you the truth. But it's really none of my business, but see something, say something. Ain't that what the law says? Yeah, too bad they don't follow their own law, right? So I'm making a complaint on Sergeant, I don't even know how to say his name, Midrid, I guess is what it is. And I'm gonna tell you why. Oh, and I have another complaint somewhere right here for another school resource officer. It's already in the floor. But I'm gonna tell you why I filed the complaint on them too. The day that the kid made the threat, all the police resource officer did was call his parents and have his parents come pick him up. Well, per the juvenile DA, it's zero tolerance. The kid, he should have went to jail, juvenile hall. He should have been picked up, just plain and simple, just like the one did just the other day, was picked up by Pearland PD. Well, they didn't do it. So I'm trying to figure out, why didn't they do that? That seems kind of weird. So I called the juvenile DA, and she said that they were at a conference. Well, what's more interesting, after doing more investigative work that apparently the Pearland PD can't do, is we found out that the school resource officer didn't even call the juvenile. He called the adult. And this is my opinion. I haven't found facts yet because they lie so much that it's hard to find the facts. But at the end of this conversation, you'll see that I think my facts are true. Or my opinions are fact. Sorry about that. I don't want to confuse y'all. So the kid gets picked up. He goes home his parents pick him up. I'm guessing who it was. It could have been a brother. I don't know. But anyway, he goes home. My daughter comes home. She tells me about the kid threatened to blow up the school. I thought it was a joke because we didn't get an email. So I'm like, must not have been that big of a deal. Even though his parents had to come pick him up, and I think he was suspended for like 3 days. No email, which is super strange from the Pearland Independent School District. So I start looking into everything, trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, dang, my wife comes home. She's telling me that something else happened, which is the kid threatening to kill my child and a teacher. Well, my daughter's playing a video game. She'll come home and whatever she needs to do, and then we let her play video games for a few hours. Sometimes an hour. She's a good kid. Sometimes she'll only play 30 minutes and she don't want to play no more. So whatever. She tells me that that kid is online playing video games. Now, mind you, this is like 6:30 at night, something like that. And I said, well, get off the game. Don't talk to him. Don't be a friend with him on there. We got to figure out what's going on. So she starts explaining everything to myself and my wife. We call Pearland PD. They show up. Now, listen to this. Pearland PD shows up at my house, says, I need to call the school resource officer to see what's going on. He walks out and calls the school resource officer. Excuse me. Comes back up and said the school resource officer didn't know anything about this. Make a new complaint. So remember now, he had to leave school for threatening to blow up the school. Now we're doing these separate complaints. Why are we doing separate complaints? Because the police officers didn't pull the kids out and ask them, what did this kid say? What happened? Tell me what happened. Typical, as you can see from the complaint forms that I have here, they don't do an investigation. They hate doing paperwork. I actually have ring video of police officers in my front yard telling me we just don't want to do the paperwork. But remember now, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I have a whole list of how much they make. Like Chief Spire's making over $200,000 a year and just letting his officers act stupid. Back to the matter at hand. My daughter writes a complaint. The police officer leaves and goes to another kid's house. I guess that kid wrote a complaint. I have no idea. I haven't, my wife might know, but I didn't get in it. Try to let my wife handle it for the most part. Then when the police officer goes to the kid's house that made these threats, he's magically not there. I remember he was just online playing. So after asking where he went, everybody says they can't tell me. Well, I find out later that he went to, and don't quote me on this because I don't know the correct terms of all this, but he went to like an in-treatment place or something like that to get an evaluation. It's what I'm told. Like I said, don't quote me, but it is what it is. I hope he did, because the kids he said some crazy stuff over the years. We've been hearing about it for years, but this put the icing on the cake when he said he was going to blow the school up and kill, kids and teachers. But so I got pissed off. And I called the juvenile DA and I just went off on this woman. She was wanting me to call the principal, get the principal's name and get me the phone number. You call here and get this, you call here and get that. And I just told her, look, woman, I'm not doing your job. We pay you to do your job, you do your job. If I call and ask a question, you're the one that's going to go figure it out. You're not going to tell me to go figure it out. It's your job to figure it out. So anyway, I started doing more investigative work. The kid's dad used to work for the district. So now, my opinion makes me think that, damn, is that the reason why he didn't go to jail that day? Because the police officer knew his dad? Is that what's going on here? And then after the cops come to our house and we write a report, the cop goes to the other kid's house and writes a report, and then goes to that child's house. He's gone. So did that school resource officer call the parents and tell them, hey, you better go check him in or he's going to juvenile hall? Will we ever know? I don't know. Trust me, I'm going to find out. Why I think the school resource officer done that, and I wish I had the email sitting here, but I don't. I know it's printed out, but I think it's in a different file. It could be down here. Here, let me look. Could be down here in one of these files, but I seriously doubt it. I don't want to go through it and waste your time, but I'll print it up. Somebody asked for it, I'll put it in the comments or something. Anyway, what it's about is my wife and I went to go have a meeting with Dr. Berger for the Pearland Independent School District. And we had a meeting about something totally separate from this, but then we had a meeting about this incident. And I'm telling Dr. Berger, my wife's telling Dr. Berger what the DA told us. Okay? And it's starting to piss me off right now because I'm thinking about it. Dr. Berger's like, well, you know what? I need to call the supervisor and ask him, which is that one Sergeant Midred, I guess is how you say his name. So Sergeant Midred, I hope you watch this, and I hope you get fired. because you don't deserve to be a sergeant. You're scum of the earth, dude. I finally get my proof. All it takes is y'all long enough to keep running your damn mouths and y'all finally get caught. So I'm sitting up there with my wife. Remember now, we're in an office and it's quiet in there. And Dr. Berger gets on the phone with his sergeant. Now remember, my wife and I just told Dr. Berger what happened. What the DA told us. Just told him. He said, well, I'm going to call the school resource officer. I'm like, fine. So we're sitting there and we're probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot away from him because there's a big desk. And we can hear him talking. And he's asking him, hey, have you heard anything about this case? Da 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 da. And I don't remember word for word, but he's like, yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He said, have you heard from the DA? And don't quote me on the first part of this because I really wasn't listening in the beginning until I could see that I could hear and I started paying attention. But he said something to this effect. He said, no, I haven't heard from her. I don't know if that's exactly how he said it, but whatever. But then I did hear him say, don't tell the parents, but the kid will be charged. And he said, and the Dr. Berger said, oh, okay, do you know anything else? And he said, is this in reference to the Calhoun family, which is my last name? And he said, Dr. Berger said, yes, it is. He said, I thought I recognized them whenever they walked in this morning because we're at the school administrative building. I don't know who that man is. I just told my wife, look, there's a police officer vehicle in the parking lot when we got there. And then I seen him walking out. We didn't exchange words or nothing. My wife's seen him too. Don't know who he is. Back to the story. He said, I thought I recognized them whenever I was coming out of the building. You can't trust them. That's what he says. You can't trust them. Don't believe anything they say. They extravagate everything. Interesting that sergeant is saying that. Now, I have all this proof right down here in the floor that I just showed y'all. Not extravagating anything. I keep documents of everything that I do because the Pearland Police Department does nothing but lie. That is all they do is lie. I've tried to call internal affairs. I've tried to get in touch with Dr. Randall again. Assistant Chief Randall. None of them will call you back. No, they even call me. I call them back. 2-3 weeks later, they call me back. Damn, man, I done forgot why you called me now. Anyway, so Dr. Berger's staring at us because he can't believe what this damn sergeant's saying. Well, the sergeant says, then Dr. Berger said, well, yeah, I'm in a meeting with him right now. And he said, oh, well, let me get done with what I'm doing. I'll come back in and I'll explain. Okay? So he's going to come in there and cop-splain. If y'all know what that means you're lying. Cop-splaining is just lying. Supreme Court said that they can lie to you whenever they want, and that's what they do. So Dr. Berger gets off the phone, and I tell him, I said, I told you, man. I told you they're trying to target my family, and I'm not going to allow it. And he's like, well, until I talk to the DA, we just got to kind of go off what the police officer's saying. I guess is what he was implying, but of course it is what it is. I was like, well, that's convenient because I have the DA's personal cell phone number right here on my phone. And he's like, well, I'll call him right now. So he calls her. Word for word, every single word that I told Dr. Berger is exactly what that juvenile DA told Dr. Berger. So then there's a problem. Now Dr. Berger has to make a choice. Does he trust these law enforcement officers anymore? Because they're both-faced lying. Both-faced lying. Why are they lying? Because they're trying to defame my name. Because I'm calling them out. I'm catching them doing illegal stuff. The crime statistics in the city of Pearland have went down. Per the city of Pearland. So the government has told you that it's went down. But it's not going down. They're not reporting it as what it is. They'll find someone that, like an ex-police officer that wrecks, and they're just like, we just kind of let that go on by. We won't report that one. Makes us look better. But what we're going to do is we're going to ask for more money. That's what we need. We need more money to keep making the statistics and the numbers go down. I think right now they're at $45 million a year. It might be more than that, but like $45 million a year for the police department to function. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. So you remember, that's $45 million of our taxpaying dollars to make the department function correctly. And they don't even know how to do their job. They have no clue what they're doing. This ain't the first time I've had encounters with them where they're just being completely ignorant to me. I have all this on video also. There were 18 vehicles parked illegally at, not at, what's the name of the school right up here? Not South, but Turner. 18 vehicles parked illegally. I drove through, Took pictures. This is before school started, maybe 2 years ago. Took video of every single vehicle sitting there, making sure no one was in the vehicle. No one was in the vehicle. Some of them were teachers' vehicles because they had the little teacher tag hanging, so no one's in the vehicle. All the way around, and ended up going over to south, more vehicles. Call Pearland PD, tell them I want an officer out there, and like they always say, oh, well, when they have time. Well, that's funny they say when they have time, because I pulled the records for Pearland PD, and each officer averages 7 calls, average, per shift. It sure don't seem like a lot of crime going on, does it? Anyway, y'all might want to look into that, seeing that we're giving them $45 million a year. Yeah, that's why we see them parked around town all the time, and when they pull somebody over, there's 2 or 3 of them that pull up. It's because they ain't got crap to do, because they don't do their job, as you can see. Anyway, keep calling Pearland PD, and finally they said, we'll have a sergeant come out. Well, then I called the fire administrative building, which is right down here on Veterans, tell them what's going on. They tell me flat out that they can't stand the PD because the PD does not enforce the fire lane policies, and the PD parks in the fire lanes all the time, and they're not supposed to be doing that. So I sit there like 30 minutes, got sick and tired of sitting there, because the whole time I sit there, I record in case something happens. I don't want somebody to say, well, you cut part of the recording out. So I was done. I leave. I call up there and try to get an open records request of what happened, and this is what they tell me. It's so stupid, man. They say that upon arrival, the police officer notices there's a bunch of parents sitting in their vehicle waiting on their kids to get out of like some kind of play or something like that. Well, that's interesting, because what they didn't know, whenever he wrote this and lied on his report, is 4 or 5 of those vehicles were Pearland Independent School District vehicles. So either he lied on his report, or those vehicles were being used to transport kids. I wonder which one it was. I know which one it was because I have it on video. So that's interesting. That just happens to be the same sergeant that's on this video. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, on this video that lied on his report about the vehicle accident. Y'all start seeing how things add up. Yeah, he lied in the fire zones, and then right down the road from where the fire zones where I reported it, at the stop sign, he lied about the vehicle accident. You see, there's a trend there. So what does the Pearland PD or any PD tell you to any criminal? Consistency. They're going to keep doing the same thing, right? Oh yeah, you do this all the time. I see. I looked up your record. You have drugs on you because in your past you had drugs on you. Is that what it? Oh, well, you have a bunch of speeding tickets here. That's the reason I pulled you over. You were doing 2 over the speed limit. Well, we can see a pattern with that sergeant, that he lies. So Pearland Police Department going to do anything about it? Nope. They tried to cover it up. That's where the complaints came from. I filed complaints and they ignored them. Well, I have a whole new slew of complaints, which now will make like 16 complaints I've had to file because they're not doing their job. There's other things going on with the City of Pearland and myself that, of course, they're going to try to keep pushed under the rug because they don't want it to come out. But they follow me around. They follow my company trucks around. They're just stupid, man. I don't see why they... You would think, man, being in law enforcement, that you would know what your job is and what you're supposed to do, and that's all you would do. You can't enforce feelings. You can't enforce policies. You can't do any of that. Law enforcement has no authority over you unless they can articulate a crime that you're committing, about to commit, or in the process of committing. Other than that, you ain't got to say nothing to them. It's called consensual contact. So anytime they come up to you, like there was a guy in our neighborhood speeding through the neighborhood, him and his wife racing. I ended up in between them because I didn't run the stop sign. The woman ran the stop sign in the van. I ended up behind her, and the dude's on my butt all through the neighborhood. Well, I'm following her. Like, why is she hauling butt through the neighborhood? Well, it's her husband behind me. I stop at one of the stop signs. He blows the horn and throws his hands up. So I get out, walk back there, and ask him, you got a damn problem, dude? You're hauling ass through the neighborhood. That must be your wife with her kids. Y'all's kids in the van, driving like a fool. Neighbors outside everywhere seeing exactly what I said. I drive down past, and whenever I notice how many that woman's getting out with those kids, I'm not confrontational, don't want to scare. I drove by. Then it came true. He pulled in the driveway. It was her husband. So when I turn around and come back, he's videoing me. I'm going to call the cops on you. I was like, call them. I don't give a damn. I haven't done anything wrong. You make sure you tell them that y'all were running stop signs with your kids in the vehicle and speeding through the neighborhood. Apparently call the cops. Next thing you know, my front door. I open the door. Hey, we need to talk to you about an incident that happened earlier. Man, go get Ben. I didn't break a law. They might have broke a law. Did they tell you what? Well, they told me what happened, but we encourage people not to have confrontation. Man, get off my property. You have no reason to be in my house. There was no laws broke. It's called hearsay. Like when you tell someone, hey, I saw someone speeding, it's hearsay. They have to catch you. You know, kind of like if you get in a fight somewhere and the cops didn't see it, they have to prove that it was you in the fight before they can detain you. You get that, Pearland PD? They have to prove you were in the fight before they can detain you. You can't go off of hearsay. You can't block people in a parking lot just because you feel like it. You hear that, Pearland PD? You can't do that. You can't just start detaining people when you don't know what's going on. You have to have the facts. That's per the Supreme Court also. If there's a fight that happens and someone's hurt and the individual isn't there, then you go find them. You don't detain everyone there because there was a fight and someone was hurt until you figure out what's going on. It's not how it works. Y'all are so stupid. I just don't even understand it, man. Now, if y'all pull up in a parking lot and someone's seriously injured and you tape it off, of course everyone in there has to stay because now it's a crime scene. There's a difference. But when a bar fight happens and y'all just start up, you have to stay. All you other people that were witnesses, please get out of here because we don't want to know the truth. Sound familiar, Pearland? I think it does. Anyway, I'm going to keep filing these complaints on the PD until they do what they're supposed to do. I know this is a long video, but there's a few of you bootlickers out there that keep messaging me, telling me that I'm full of crap because of what I'm doing. It'll all come to light. Trust me, it will all come to light, and y'all will see what really goes on inside the Pearland Police Department. They can try to act like, oh, well, we're an outstanding police department. We do no wrong. They can act like that all they want. But in saying that, I'll say one more thing before I get off here. They are human beings. I get it. They're going to mess up. I get it. When they mess up, what should happen? I think the same thing that happens to us should happen to them. If they're out acting like a fool, they should be charged the same way we are. The stupid qualified immunity gives them, that just gives them a reason to constantly screw up. Constantly screw up. And I'm saying that for this reason. I've spoken with many law enforcement officers and asked them if they know the law, and they'll say, well, how am I supposed to know the law? The law book's like that thick. And then you turn that right back around at them and say, well, then how am I supposed to know it if it's that thick? Your job is to know it. That is your job. That is literally what you get paid to do. It's to know those laws. But you'll tell me, well, you should have known you were doing wrong. You should know the law. Because what do the judges say? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. But I guess they don't say that to the police officers, do they? Now, for everyone else out there that's wondering why I keep saying that cops are dumb and da-da-da-da-da, not all of them are. I know some very, very, very nice police officers at the City of Pearland, and I've talked with someone at the PD and away from the PD, so remember this Pearland PD too. Y'all are doing wrong, and they're going to blow the whistle. Y'all are going to get snitched out. They're just waiting for the right opportunity. You know, when you have one police officer, just say there's 6 on the scene, right? And one of them does something wrong and the other 5 just stand there and watch and don't stop this one from doing it. In our world, being a civilian, that's called accessory or accessory after the fact or whatever you want to call it, organized crime, whatever y'all want to call that crap. But when it's a police officer doing it, there's nothing. And then no one tells on him. So it just keeps happening and happening and happening. Y'all get that? So if there's a police officer that grabs you and throws you on the ground, which y'all might want to Google this, it happened in, I believe it was Santa Fe, where that police officer threw that man on the ground and injured him and he ended up dying from it. Yeah, when the guy done nothing wrong. There was no reason for that man to have to talk to law enforcement. And the cop didn't like the way the man was acting and grabbed him and threw him on the ground. And then there's all these videos of the man acting really strange, can't walk, and they're just blowing it off. He's in custody. He's in custody, falling over, saying he can't read, he don't feel good. And they blow it off, and then I can't remember how long after that, they said he died of dementia or something like that, or something was wrong with him. He'd never acted like that before in his life. Many people came forward and said it. City's getting sued. Go to Texas City. Stupid police officer sitting in the parking lot and someone speeds across Bucky's parking lot. Stupid cop, complete ignorant police officer pulls the man over. You can't pull people over on private property, you idiot. That's what he did. And then puts the guy in the back of the cop car. It's a whole nother thing. This is happening all over. All you have to do is, well, here, I'm going to give y'all the best one. I know I said I'd get off here, but I'm going to give it to you. Well, actually, two. Y'all want to see a good one that's going on right now? You remember the show 60 Days In where the undercover people would go in jail? You ought to look up that police officer, the bald-headed one, which I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But just Google it, 60 Day In, police chief goes to jail. Remember now, he's talking about 60 days in, and we're doing something good, and we're going to change the system, da-da-da-da-da. Now that dude has like 20 federal felonies against him because someone doing exactly what I'm doing uncovered everything. Just started digging into the system and found all this corruption going on. Turn it over to the FBI. They did an investigation. Bam, he's arrested. Matter of fact, he just got charged, I believe it was last week. He's not supposed to have any weapons or anything on him. And he got, I don't know why they went by his house, but for some reason the courts were there again, or law enforcement was there, whatever. They found he was in possession of guns, weapons. So the judge, being the character he is, and I loved it, he slammed his gavel down and said, I think the best sentence for this is 60 days in. And he sentenced him to 60 days for that. Now the dude's he's out on bond, so they might revoke his bond. We don't know. But if you Google all this stuff, just police officers acting bad or police officer doing this or that, you'll see it. Remember now what I said, not all of them are bad. But the way they explain it is one apple can't make the whole bunch bad, right? If you put one apple in a whole bunch of apples, it don't make the whole bunch bad, which is stupid because that's exactly what happens. If you have a bad apple, it makes the rest of them go bad. But that's not the analogy that you're supposed to use. What law enforcement should be saying is, if there's one bad apple, we should be able to pick that one out. If it's just one, and that's what there's just one. There's just one? You gonna tell me the other 170 of y'all can't find the one? What kind of police officers are you? All of y'all can't find one? Just one. That don't make sense. Oh, you know what? And here was the other one I was going to tell y'all about. Look up the two police officers in Pearland. The one that got arrested for having the videoing the people in the restroom, the Pearland police officer. I don't even know what happened with that case. I quit following it. I know he got arrested for it. But the other one is very interesting. It's the one where the Pearland police officer was drunk on duty and they arrested him on duty. All right? I want y'all to think really, really, really hard about this. One of two things happened that day because he never got charged with it. He got off. So one of two things happened. My guess is he was drunk and they didn't do their job correctly because they didn't want to charge him. No offense to you, police officer, whoever you are out there, but that's what I'm saying. But let's think about this. So if Pearland PD arrested one of his own officers, alleging that officer was drunk, and then he gets off the charges, you don't think that's a little crazy that they arrested a sober man? Y'all don't think that's crazy? They arrested someone sober and charged him with DWI. If you go look at the case, the officer states that they were trying to make him resign and retire and all that crap. I mean, it was on Channel 2 News, I believe, at the time. This has been 4, 5, 6 years ago. I don't even know how long now. But think about that. If a police department arrests one of their own officers for DWI on duty, remember the guy had his service revolver and everything with him, which should have been, felonies and all kinds of crap. And then he gets off of it. See, I don't even know how to explain this. Either the whole Pearland PD is incompetent and don't know what a drunk driver is, which means all the other drunk driving incidents should be investigated, or they were just trying to get rid of this guy. Who will do the investigation on this? Maybe Channel 2 News should pick it up, because I know they had the guy on TV, but they didn't dig deep into it. And I don't know why they don't dig into stuff like that. I dig into it every time I seen it, because they'll dig into everything that like Donald Trump does and Joe Biden does and Hillary Clinton does. They want to dig into them people. When local officials start acting stupid, they just kind of, woo, let me step back a little bit. But anyway, I'll give you one more YouTube video and I'm going to get off here. Go look up in Florida where there was a pregnant woman driving, I think it was her minivan. And they have a law down there where if you're getting pulled over and you don't feel safe, I believe it's you like slow down 20 miles an hour, something like that, pull in the right-hand lane and turn your flashers on, okay? That's exactly what this woman did. She slowed down, turned her flashers on, got in the right-hand lane. The police officer done that tip maneuver, or pit maneuver, whatever you call it, and flipped this woman's vehicle, totaled it, and landed on its roof. She's pregnant. And all he's saying is, well, I had my lights on, you had ample opportunity to pull over. So go look up the other video where the police officer is speeding, like doing 70 and a 30 or something like that. And another police officer tries to pull him over and he tries to get away from him. He finally pulls in front of him somehow. I don't remember the whole video, but pulls in front of him somehow, gets him stopped. The police officer that was speeding gets out cocky. What are you doing, man? I'm on my way to work. And he's like, sir, you're speeding. I need to see your license, insurance. And he basically told him to F off. Got in the vehicle and took off. So did the PD go pit maneuver that guy? Did they go flip him? No, they let him go. And they went later and done something about it. They didn't flip him. But a normal person like you and I, following the law, getting in the right-hand lane, turning on your flashers and slowing down, they'll flip your vehicle. But if it's a fellow police officer, they'll we'll deal with him later. We're not going to make him follow the same law that we have to follow or that we try to enforce on other people. We're going to let him do his own thing and we'll deal with it later. That's what you deal with. That's what all of y'all deal with, and y'all don't understand that. You know, when these police officers in Pearland walk out in the road, you'll have the motorcycle cop. He'll be parked off to the side and he's doing radar and he walks out in the road. Don't stop. Go around him. There's laws out there. They have to have on reflective vests and stop signs. They have to have their lights activated. Quit stopping for these fools. Make them pull you over. Make them do their job. They're just being lazy, standing out there trying to catch people. Of course, I'm not promoting anyone speeding, but I probably have 200 or 300 hours of Pearland Police Department speeding, going nowhere. I actually have one from the one of the, I guess it's maybe a fire chief or something like that, just a few weeks ago, coming off 288. I don't remember how fast he's going. 60 into 35, swerving, almost completely ran a red light, ran the stop sign, did all of this speeding to get down off Veterans here to pull in. And I guess it was his wife. There was some woman with him. He had to drop her off because they went and ate lunch. Yeah, he had to do all that to drop her off because they went and ate lunch. Yeah. So see, they get away with that, but we can't get away with it. Anyway, when I have more information on all these complaint forms and everything, I'll make another video. I know this one was long. It's like almost 50 minutes long right now. I know I hadn't made videos in a while, and the reason I hadn't is because of all this going on. I don't think y'all understand. Just the incident with my daughter, I spent 30 hours investigating that myself because you couldn't get any answers. And if y'all look, to this day, the Pearland PD nor the Pearland Independent School District has said anything to any of y'all about the incident. That is very suspicious if you ask me. And y'all need to hold these people accountable. Y'all need to call and start calling to the Pearland Independent School District or the Pearland Police Department and ask them, why aren't y'all doing y'all's job correctly? Because there's supposed to be zero tolerance when it comes to threats on school property by any child. But this one kid, for some reason, they completely ignored. I don't know why. Anyway, make another video here in a few weeks. I might make a video about the stupid people right down here on Veterans. If anybody lives off Veterans, when you get down there by Magnolia, every year those people trim their trees and throw it over in a ditch and the city leaves it out there. I might go confront those people because it's getting pretty annoying, if you know what I mean. They're just littering our ditches up and the city don't do anything about it. They just drive by it every day. I stood there today and there was like 5 city vehicles drove by. Of course, none of them addressed it because they'll say that's not part of my job. But when you're a public servant, everything's part of your job. If you see something, say something. Ain't they what they say, Popo? See something, say something. Anyway, till next time.